What is up? How you doing? What's good? No Comment Gaming here. Welcome to the channel if you are new, and welcome back to the channel if you're a returning subscriber or just a new viewer. We're playing U-Boat today, and I'm going to explain crew management after running a bunch of tests and I don't know how many hours I put into this trying to figure this out. But the way this test works is I wanted to see what's the best crew management you could set up. Now, this game is very micromanaging. If you were micromanaging your whole time, you can make it more efficient. But this baseline that I'm about to show you of how to manage your crew is if you just wanted to do auto mode, which that means you go out there on a patrol, you're not engaging any targets, you're just doing the patrol, and you're avoiding contacts so you could just speed through. So you're going to be underwater during the daytime, and then during the nighttime, you're going to be on the surface. Now, this was historically correct in the later stages of the war, but as I will say, we're using a Type IIA here. This boat does not have very good range, so this setup that I'm going to show you, if you do it the way I'm going to show, you can still return to port with about 2 to 4% battery life. But if you were micromanaging and listening to the tips that I tell you, you can obviously engage targets and return to port with more fuel. All right, first, the crew list. One thing to note is I will say you will need a mod if you want to be more realistic with this. I have 23 people on this ship right now. You start out with 14 sailors and 5 officers. But in real life, I think it was like 24 to 25 for a Type 2. So this is in line with realism, and about this channel, we're all about immersion is making this as realistic as possible. So I will put up on the screen right now the mod you need for this. Now, this mod works on the unstable preview versions, which is a 2024.1 preview XX, whatever number it's on. And then it also works on the stable 2022.1 version. Now, this game should be releasing in the next month or two. So I'm pretty sure the mod authors, he said he's going to keep up to date with it and update it with the game. So I will say you need that mod. It just helps out a lot more with managing the crew. Now, as you can see, I already named these guys because I'm playing offline testing career right now, so I could pull out these tutorial videos for you guys. Wow, I did not know he had a court martial coming on. 2 court martials? Oh, I'm gonna have to get some new sailors. Sheesh, and tuberculosis. All right. All right, anyway, but yeah, so you have your 5 officers here. Now let's go to task. So this is the guy you create. He's going to be a watch officer. This is going to be your bowsman, but I changed him to a watch officer too, because a bowsman historically is the one that manned the gun and I think did the torpedoes. So I was just like, let me just get 2 watch officers. Now, this is the most optimal, efficient way that I've seen. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos where people do it other ways, but I'm going to show you my method right now and show you proof that it actually works for an auto. And if you was to manage it with the tips I give you, you would have more. So without further ado, let's go into explaining this from left to right. Calm down. This is what your officers are going to do when you're under stressful situations and your crew breaks. So I want my officers to have a high priority. Now, the highest priority I have here is from default is 11. I mean, you could go up to 1,000 if you wanted to. Let's see how actual high you could go. 100, 1,000, but nobody's actually going to go that high. So let's just put that back to 10. Now you can change this by clicking on it, holding shift, and you hear those clicks, it changes. And when you click off, there it goes. You could change it back to what you want it. I just find it easier just clicking in something. You press 0, it deletes it. But anyway, so we're going to have our first 2 officers do that. For context, this is what you need for the observation deck. You need this, and I think they also used the observation periscope for this. So this is a 9. And then I have the watch officer as an 8 because navigation is very important. Navigation means that you don't get lost. Now, the reason why they're swatched is because one guy is going to come on shift at different times, as you see once I get to the schedule. But anyway, so navigation only takes like an hour or 2 in game time. So it's really quick, while observation could last for hours on times. So I would say make sure you get your navigation in so you don't get lost, and then observation should be second. If you leave it this way, that is optimal. Now we go to loading torpedoes. The mechanic, he has that as a 7. That's just like an average, like, hey, if I tell him to load a torpedo, he's going to do it. But what you really want them to focus on is repairing the ship. Whenever you're in a stressful situation, you bring them to the the command center, and they will have sailors running around, coming back to them with reports of how the ship damage is going. So that's a 10. Remember, 11 is the highest, and I'll show you what I have as 11. Next is the engines. You always need at least 2 people on engines at a time. Now, this is just for the 2A tutorial of explaining crew management. You always want at least 2 people on there at all times because you're going to get a plus 30% bonus boost to the engines, which gives you more range, and a 2A has trash range anyway, so this is going to help out. Next, I have maintain, which is maintaining torpedoes, which gives you, I think, a 60% buff. If you maintain your torpedoes, warm them, and then launch them, they have a 60% more chance of going off instead of being a dud. If you don't maintain them, you're supposed to get a 0%, which means you could get a dud, a misfire, or whatever. But then you also have the there's this skill that called thorough, which gives you another boost on top of that 60% maintaining it. So you got a 100% chance right there. Obviously, that's not realistic. But anyway, I put that on an 8. So maintenance and loading torpedoes is kind of the same as these two combined. So I just put that at a 7. But you always want to make sure they're clean to get that 60% buff. So you never like fire one torpedo because you want to save, or instead of doing a salvo, which means multiple at once. But anyway, you get what I mean. All right, next we have salvage replacement parts. Historically, the chief engineer did that. This is going to happen when they repair. They could get replacement parts for it. So we're going to have our chief engineer do that because they're. Now for our radio guy, I just put him as doctor, funk doc. Funk doc means like listening doctor or whatever, because funk means radio. Funka, I forgot how to exactly say it, but funka means radio. So he's a radio doc. Flick finger just means quick finger because he's our mechanic. There's Zauber means the wizard because he's our chief engineer. They're bull because he's our second in command, and then Cappy for like Capitan, just a nickname for our captain. Anyway, I digress. So our radio guy, we're going to have him on listening for context at an 8, but a higher priority than that is listening for transmissions, because then he could get transmissions coming in from command and other U-boats, and then also give out transmissions so you could get those sweet monies when you report your positions and sightings and stuff. So listening for context is what's going to happen when you go underwater and you use the underwater microphone. So that's an 8. Obviously, we want him as our medic because he's not going to be doing that much work most of the time. So if something happens, if we're underwater, he can hurry up, get off of there, heal somebody, and get back on. And if we need to, we can assign people to him. Next, cook. Don't really worry about that. I let my crew handle that unless I will have an officer with a cook skill, which we get more of a buff. Then I would do that. But I don't have an officer as that, so I don't have that. Not a big deal. You can keep the 0. Now, sleep, I have that as 11. This is priority over everything. I want my officers well rested at all times so they can perform their job to the top of their duties. Let's go to crew. So I have 3 shifts. Engines, remember, top priority. You get that 30% buff, get that range, stay out longer. There we go. That's what we want. Next, we have observation, so they can observe with the captain. As you will see when I get closer to squad, you will see that I assign people. Cleaning, we have that at 5. Galley means they're cooked. I have that as a 7. So we never have to worry about any cooking because the crews will cook. 4, which is the lowest priority because I usually have my officers on this. Helmsman station, driving a boat. Got that as an 8 because we always want someone there. Depth steer, we have that at an 8 anytime because as you see when I show you my boat schedule, we're going to be using these two always. So we always want these high up in the priority. Radio room, I have that as a low priority. Just if my radio officer isn't there, they could just be there, just filling in the space. If a signal comes in or something, they could catch it. They could report to him. He could come to the station. That's why I got that. Now I have these on 11, and these are for when we do dive, which we use a lot. I don't want an officer to get off of doing something important that he's doing. I want to have a crew come over here and do it. Power switches. This is important too because you get buffs for changing the lighting, and sometimes 10 for normal lighting. At nighttime, if you turn on the red lighting, you get a 15% boost to sighting, yada yada, etc. We don't have bulkheads, but if we did on the type, I think the type 7 does, the type 2 doesn't. So we're not. That's just for whenever we do get there. Now for schedule, morning shift, they start at. I have them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-hour shifts for my crew. They start at 5 a.m. and they get off at 1. Evening shift starts at 1. They get off at 9. And then night shift starts at midnight. And then they get off. Oh, no, my bad. Night shift starts at 9 and then they get off at 5 a.m. So we always got somebody working at stations. As you will see when I show you the automatic way, you will have notifications that says I've got it down to 2, which is the what was it called? I have it down to where it says there's no man at the helmsman station or the observation. But that's only because when they get off on the shift, it takes about 2 hours in game when you're speeding up it instead of manually doing it yourself for them to get on station. So don't worry about those notifications. I've done multiple hours of testing to make sure that this doesn't affect the gameplay anyway. It doesn't. It's just that time when they switch between shifts. So those alerts mean nothing. But at least I used to have like 7 alerts at once, and then I got it down to 2, and those 2 alerts are insufficient. It's because they're switching shifts. Now we go down here to our guy. We have him on we want them to work 12 hours. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hour in a 12-hour and a 24-hour period. I have my captain and my second officer switching. So when one isn't on, the other is on. For my chief engineer and my mechanic, I have them also switching hours differently. You could just copy this and do it yourself too. And then for my radio guy, I have him in 3-hour increments just to make sure he's there throughout the day. Trust me, he still gets enough rest, as you're going to see. Now, if we move on to squads. So if you do not have the mod, or if you do have the mod, however many it says right here is what you're going to divide right here. So 6, 12, 18. If you only had 14, you would do 7, 6, and 6. Right? No, my bad. I did that wrong. You know what I'm trying to say though. If you had 10, you would do like 3, 6, 9. So 3 on each one, but a 4, 3, and 3. But anyway, hopefully I explained that right. I just kind of confused myself. But anyway, we have 18 slots here. We want to divide that by 3. So 6, 12, 18. So at all times, each shift, there's going to be 6 sailors on shift. Now, I tried this out with 2 sailors for our captain, 2 for our second in command, 2 for except for our radio guy. We could manually put somebody on him, but you technically really don't need to do that unless you need more range, which that's up to you. The micromanaging part, as I was saying, this is the automatic way of doing it. So I put him on 1 sailor, so that's going to leave 5 on his shift, right? And then this guy's off on the next shift, so it's only these 2. So 1 and 2. 2 times should be on. 2 sailors should always be for the engineers to get that 30% boost, like I was saying. So that's already going to take away 2 here. So that's going to leave you 4, and that's going to leave you 3. So that's going to leave you 3 guys on each shift here to do the tasks of the crew, as you see right here. So 3 guys are going to be like either cooking or driving the boat or down in it, or you get the point. So that's how that works. So remember, always divide this by 3, and then put them on the squads here, and make sure you take maybe half of these guys for these guys down here, or you can swap it around if you're playing slow and manually do it that way. Specializations, that just comes differently when you get it. Now, this is important. Historically, German U-boats towards the end of the war tried to stay off the surface during the daytime, because when you're on the surface in the daytime, that's how planes see you. Now, I've tested this. I have not got spotted by a plane in over 20 different tests of me doing this, or spotted by a boat. Maybe I'm just getting lucky, and I've just been speeding through automatically doing this, but it worked that way. So anyway, so we want to stay off the surface as much during the daytime as possible. So we're going to dive the ship to periscope level from 8 a.m. all the way to 7 p.m. Now, I've tried 1 more hour here or 1 more hour here, but the problem is you run into this situation here. You run into losing air quality faster than you're losing battery capacity. Because when you go down, you have 12 hours of air, but I think 13 or 14 of battery. And that's running on forward 1. Now, this test I'm going to show you is running on forward 2 to make it faster without changing any settings. So without further ado, let's get into me showing you this in action. All right, here we are about to show it in action. Remember, this is the automatic way. At the end, I will show you tips of how you could do this to increase your range so you can attack targets and still move around and still maintain all the bonuses and stuff and be good. Now, with this automatic way, our discipline shouldn't go below 75% in the way I'm going to show you. Because the crew, I set up the crew and their assignments to do it very well. So usually I start here. This is just a test, remember. I'm just going to go up here. I'm going to go 100 miles across. This is just to show you guys that it actually works when I'm telling you. We're not going to get spotted or anything because during the day, we're going to be underwater. And during night, we're going to be above the water. And U-boats loved being undetectable. I mean, that meant survival if you were able to hide from the enemy. So usually when we get about here, we're going to return home because we're going to almost fulfill that 2,000 kilometers we need. It's going to be about 92. Yep, normal. And then down here. So once we get about right here, we're probably going to start returning home around this area. But anyway, so let's stay on top until this replenishes. Let's leave the port. Let's put this in 1.
Slow ahead.
No.
Merchant ship.
I said we're going to put it in 2.
Degrees. Merchant ship, 85 degrees.
Now.
Merchant ship, 95 degrees.
I got it, bro. I got it. Leave the port. All right. So tips before we actually start something, I will tell you tips of how I would do this right here. All right. So if I was actually playing this, let's zoom out a little bit.
Seems calm today. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yes, let's please. So if I was actually playing this during the day, I would dive below. I will put on red lights. As you see, you get 15% sight in dark weather. I mean, you're under the boat, so it should still help out because you're in a dark environment. And then in real life, they did that too to help their eyes when they're looking through the periscope. It helps adjustment. At nighttime, always have on red lights. But during this test, I'm just going to leave it in normal. So remember, whenever you're submerged, turn on red lights because historically they did that too. It helped their eyes see through the periscope and see see bright light. At nighttime, always have red lights on. Blue light is for silent running when you need to go below and have your crew quiet. I'm not going to change anything else. So I explained that. And usually a tip of how you can save fuel, another, which I'm not going to do right now. But whenever you're on the surface, right, I would have it in forward 1 or forward 2. I would say forward 1 for me. I like playing the game slow and methodically. So forward 1 when you're on the surface. When you are below the surface, you can actually turn it up to 3 because your battery is going to last a lot longer than your oxygen. So you could burn more battery. So I would have it at 3 when I'm underwater. And I've done that before. And I've done a mission to where I dropped off an agent up here. I came here to the port. I scoped it out. And then I went back all the way back around here like that. And I still had fuel. Because when I was on the surface, I was running at 1, which was at nighttime. And then when the daytime came, I went underwater and I was running 3. Never ran out of oxygen, never ran out of fuel, never ran out of battery. But anyway, let's show you my automatic way. So this is going to be completely hands off. I'm not going to pause the video or do anything right here. All right, so first we're going to stay on the surface until our battery gets back to high. All right, boom. Now, remember all the settings that I set up before. We're going to have them
Periscope depth.
Follow the dive schedule. Now, remember, the only 2 alerts that should pop up is just the random messages you get. I'm not going to answer or reply to any messages. Or conning tower is missing, or helmsman is missing to drive the boat. And remember, that's because they're doing that shifting of shifts, or we're sinking the boat and they leave the conning tower and then they move to the helmsman station, or we're moving from being submerged to the surface and they're moving from the helmsman station to the observe post and then back to the helmsman to drive it. So yeah, but remember the tips I showed you how to do it if you're not playing fast will give you more fuel. But anyway, without further ado, let's put it on 5x.
Ready for surface observations.
See, conning tower, like I was saying, the helmsman station. You shouldn't have a cook issue, and boom, right before you run out, it fills back up.
Captain, we've risen to the surface.
That's good.
Another U-boat has just reported a possible target within
I'm gonna
our
send that.
range.
Yeah, that's good.
Area reached.
As you can see right now, it's nighttime, so if I press F2, we should be on the surface. See, we're on the surface, right? Now, let's go back to the map, and when daytime comes, let's see where we're at.
I'll take care of it.
It's daytime.
Captain, we're at
It is
periscope
9,
depth.
it's about
Ready
8,
for surface observations.
almost 8:36 a.m. So we should be underwater. Let's see. And boom, we're underwater. So we can't be seen by the surface. And watch, almost ran out. Boom, starts back over. Conning tower, helmsman station. Almost runs out. Boom, starts over. Let's show you how much we actually have when we sink. Let's
We're
see.
periscope depth. Ready for surface observations.
Another U-boat has
Once
just
we sink
reported
again,
a possible target within our range.
3, 4, 5, 7.
Captain,
We
we've
sunk.
risen to the surface.
I'm gonna show you how much we actually have. So we have 12 hours and 30 minutes. I think it's like 13 hours total when you do it. So we have 12 hours, 13 minutes of oxygen, but we have 14 hours of battery. That's why you can run your battery a little faster. You can run it at 3, or you could put it down to 1. Just depends on if you're hunting someone. You can edit it the way you want to edit it. But I'm just showing you your oxygen will run out way before your battery. So if you just play it smart and don't go above 3, you could get pretty far. You could hunt people right now. But anyway, let's finish the automatic. Almost running out.
Been notified by a nearby U-boat.
Boom, starts over.
Target in the area.
So you never run out of something. Now our fuel, we have 59%.
We've risen to the surface.
Remember, we have 2 engineers on, so you see that 30% increase, right? Let's see what he have to say. Another court martial probably. Discovers a few bottles of champagne carefully tucked away in a storage crate. A note attached. Congratulations, Carl. So we had a sailor bring some wine on board. You crazy, bro? Anyway, so we have about 2,400, 3,000, 2,900, and we only need 2,000, and we're almost done. Like I said, right about here. That's good.
Been notified by a nearby
Remember, discipline's not going to fall below
target in the area.
75. Now, I will say, when you're actually playing yourself, you can see fatigue is at 4, and that's because I've been doing a bunch of missions without taking vacation for the crew. As you see, with this, you're not going to have that much loss of discipline. You could turn on music when you're on the surface at nighttime and increase that too to offset the -4. But also, you're always going to only have too much work from officers, -1. And that's because you got the correct amount of people on shift and working at officers at all times during the day and night that is never going to go to a +5+ whenever you have too many people working. Unless you're in a like stressful situation and a battle going on. But anyway, watch right about here is when we're going to turn around. You see, we're not getting spotted by anybody either because we're underwater. We're basically ninjas. Okay, once this reaches half, boom. Now we can start heading home. So let's do this. So we're going to just right click and boom, we're heading home. Now watch. We're going to complete this before we get out the circle. We have about 2,400 left.
Our patrol mission is complete.
We have 2,400 left.
By a friendly vessel of
And
a
this,
possible target within our
bro,
vicinity.
can you please be quiet? Thank you. So we have 2,400 still left to make it back to port. But the route is only going to take 822. So let's go ahead and send this. But it's going to have about 2. I'm going to say since we were on 2, we're going to have 2% battery when we get back to port. I have it on mission automatic. I mean, you can have more if you do it manually by going slower home. It'll take longer. But remember, this is the auto way.
We've risen to the surface.
Waiting for this to turn blue.
Notified by a nearby U-boat of a probable target in the area.
Okay, wait, something else
We're at
happened.
periscope depth. Ready
Oh,
for
somebody else
surface
got
observation.
tuberculosis, I guess. You all right, bro? Coughing up a lung there. Sound like I got tuberculosis. All right, still waiting for this to turn blue.
We've risen to the surface.
There it is. Returning home. 2%. I bet you 2% fuel, and we passed the mission. And discipline should not be lower than 75%. If my tests were correct. Welcome home, boys, on the auto run of a patrol. For perfect optimal crew management, I will say myself. Here we go. Oh, he was arrested. Okay. I got such a bad crew, bro. All right, here we go. What'd I say? Discipline. Oh, 60. Okay, I was a little bit wrong. It changes. It was 75 when I did test. 1% fuel, so I was off by 1. But look at all the officers. They ranked up. All of them. They ready to rank up. But my method works. Remember I said, you don't want to do this method. I was just showing the optimal way to set up your crew. This was the auto way. This is the optimal way to set up your crew for a Type IIA. Now, when you're actually playing, you need to play methodically. So that means you need to play as actually using the red lights, not using 2 times speed at all times, you know, saving fuel. I would recommend going in forward 1 during nighttime, moving slow to save more diesel, or getting upgrades like a snorkel where you can use diesel at all times or increase your electric. But yeah, that was a test to show you that this actually works, man. Like what I was showing you. Let's go to crew and see what my boys can rank up to, though. Who's ready to rank up? You are. You ready to rank up, sir? Oh, let's get you on this radio, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get you on that, sir. Are you ready? Oh, you're my engineer's family. Engine specialist, handyman, salvager, thorough. See, thorough, this is what I was saying. Oh, this is perfect for the video explaining this. Thorough gives you 25% when you maintain the torpedoes. So you see that 25% on top of the 60%, right? What is that? That's 85% chance if you do maintenance and you have the thorough trait. That's 85% chance. That's almost 100% chance to hit your target. Now, if you don't do maintenance and you just have this, that's a 25% chance. So you see what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of OP to maintain your torps. I've seen some people not even having that skill on. They're just warming them. No, you need to do maintenance on your subs. I actually have a clip here showing what maintenance looks like, and I'll insert it right now.
Tube 2 loaded.
So that's what maintenance actually look like. So I would just say, follow these settings of what I've showed you here in this long-winded video. But this game is very micromanaging. It has a steep learning curve. I want people to actually know how to play this game as best. This is the optimal way to set up your crew for the Type IIA. Maybe in the future, when I shift boats, change boats, or the full release, I'll do more test runs on different boats and find the optimal way for that. But remember, get that mod. Oh my God, so many people are in jail or just sick. Oh no, they already come back. Oh. But yeah, anyway, I am No Comment Gaming. We are underwater, under the boat. But thanks for checking out this video of the optimal way to set up your crew. I'll see you guys out there. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. If you like the video, come back and watch some more. Let's spend time together. Anyway, y'all stay easy. Be blessed.